Number 3, now that you're out of school, how do you feel about words and numbers, etc.? Maybe you're learning better now you're out of school. Numbers I hate. I hate maths. I'm completely number illiterate. I'm worse with numbers than I am with words and spelling. It means nothing to me. It is like telling me to speak in Chinese when I've never learnt Chinese. It's just awful. But not being good at maths is far more socially acceptable than not being able to spell. England has got some of the worst results for maths in Europe, I believe. I heard that on the news recently. We really have bad maths results in this country. So most people will say, oh, I'm terrible at maths. Now I know I'm a lot worse than they are, but I know that I can say, oh, I'm terrible at maths too, because it's okay to be bad at maths in this country. But yeah, I really am terrible. I get lost counting my fingers sometimes. It's really bad. As far as words concerned, I've really taken up reading recently. I really like reading. I like autobiographies. I love knowing that I'm reading a real story. It's not made up. So I've really got into that lately. I still don't know some words. I can't understand what they say, but I found coping mechanisms. A lot of people with dyslexia find little coping mechanisms. That's quite common to do that. And so I tend to read the rest of the sentence and figure out what that word says and then just get on with reading. I can't read out loud. I hate reading out loud. But that's another common thing with dyslexia, is doing more than one thing at once. So yeah, actually reading and taking in the words and speaking the words at the same time is quite difficult for someone with dyslexia, where someone without it, they can just do it. It's just one thing to them, but it's two different actions for somebody with dyslexia, and it's really difficult. So it's classically difficult for someone with dyslexia to read and speak at the same time. So I hate that and I struggle with that. I may have to pause this video at one point because I think somebody's coming into the house, but hopefully I won't. So yeah, reading out loud is just a no-no, but reading to myself I've got quite good at. And learning, I love to learn. I love to learn. Like I say, when I was diagnosed in college, I stayed there for about 4 years doing so many courses. I didn't want to leave. I discovered this thirst for knowledge, and now I've left college and I'm not in education anymore. I will watch documentaries about anything just because I want to learn. I feel like my whole school year, the whole time I was in school, all those school years were wasted and I didn't learn anything, because they weren't teaching me in the way that a dyslexic person learns, because they have to be taught in a different way. So now I'm hungry for knowledge, and I will watch these documentaries and I will take it in. I will even watch quiz shows, and I hate quiz shows, but I'll watch them because I pick up facts. And then if I hear something that I think slightly interesting, then one fact isn't enough. I'll have to delve further and I'll go and do research and learn as much about that particular thing as I possibly can. I'm straight onto Google or whatever search engine, there are others, to learn about it, and I'll take it in, and I love then sharing that knowledge, which is great for my work, working with young people and children, because I can share little tidbits to them of things I've picked up that are relevant to what we're talking about. And I love to share knowledge too, so I love to learn. And I learn far more now than I ever did at school. And it makes me wonder what would I have been like if I'd been diagnosed early on at school and I'd been taught the way that I could learn. You know, what would I have been like then, I wonder. I can't help wondering that. Who would I have been if all those years at school I had actually been learning, because I would have wanted to learn, I'm sure I would. Number 5, how far did you go in your education? Well, when I went to college, like I say, I did courses. I did some basic numeracy, which I scraped by on with the help of the tutors. I did some basic English. I needed to make up for the GCSEs that I didn't pass, so I did those basic courses to pick up on that, and I'm still doing the M's. Then I went on to other courses because I didn't want to leave. I did basic counselling, and then I went on and did a certificate in counselling, so I have a 370 certificate in counselling. I then went on to use that to the career I went into when I became a youth worker. I did my youth workers training. I did a foundation course in informal education, ironically. I've now become an educator myself. Then I went on and did the diploma in that, and that was informal education and youth and community work. The next thing would be a degree, which all of my tutors for the diploma wanted me to do, but I would have had to pay for it myself, and I didn't really have the time and I certainly didn't have the money. I could probably do it free now, but I don't know, I'm out of work at the minute. I'm not working because the cutbacks hit my particular company hard, so I don't know. But I may well go into it. But the fact that the people who taught me for the diploma were confident that I would breeze through the degree is very, very confidence boosting. It's nice to think that they were that confident. I certainly, all of the courses I've done and all of the training I've done in education, I've got top marks in. And nobody else in the classes were dyslexic. So that's good to know. And also at the time I was doing these training courses, I didn't have the internet at home. I didn't know how to use the internet in the office. So it was books. All of my study was with books. So there's a thing. That's all of her questions that she sent me. I tried to remember some of the ones I sent her. I think I asked what the most irritating thing was that I encountered as far as dyslexia is concerned, and I think the most irritating thing for me personally was having to ask for help, because people get frustrated. I mean, they say, "Oh, if you need help, just let me know," but they don't realise how difficult it is sometimes for a person with dyslexia. I now have a spell checker that I take everywhere with me on my little iPod Touch. So you type in the word, and if it's spelt wrong, it'll give you the correct word and alternatives. But if I forget it, and before I had that, I needed people to help me with the spelling. They'll say, "Oh, I'll help you out," but they don't realise it's like every 3-4 words I'm going to need them to tell me the spelling. And even my mum gets frustrated sometimes. And I think she gets most frustrated when I ask for the spelling for the same word 5 or 6 times. She'll give it to me 3 times, and then you can see she's fed up when I ask for it the 4th time. It's sort of, "I've told you that 3 times already, don't you know by now?" And it's sort of, "Oh, really? You figured out how to teach a dyslexic person how to spell, have you? Where's your Nobel Prize?" Because it's frustrating for me, but I know it must be frustrating for them. So I hate having to ask for help. And just for those of you out there who don't have dyslexia and live with someone with dyslexia, you will need to tell the person how to spell the same word over and over again. They're not going to learn it just because you've told them how it's spelt a couple of times. That's just not how it works with dyslexia. It really isn't. I must have been about 10 years old before I learned how to spell the name Deborah, my own name. So yeah, needing to ask for help is terrible. I get so frustrated when I have to ask for help. I really do. But you have to do it. You have to do it to get by. So just do it. Just get on and do it. Because you have to do what you have to do. And any advice for people out there with dyslexia, I would say to you, don't be put down. If people are making you feel inferior, don't feel inferior. If people are making you feel like you can't get by and you can't do what you've got to do, you can. The fact that you do have dyslexia does not mean you can't learn. It means that you learn in a different way. So you figure out what helps you keep the information in your mind, what helps you retain stuff, then you go back and you prove them wrong. You really prove them, because you probably is smarter than they are, but you just haven't learned how to learn yet. So you figure it out. You do your research, get in touch with the Dyslexic Association, whatever it takes, and you prove them wrong. You are not stupid. And I would love to go back to that primary school teacher and some of the teachers at my secondary school, but certainly that primary school teacher, because I think she messed me up the worst. And I'd like to say to her, I hope you've learnt to listen, because I know she's still teaching. And if she's watching this, she probably doesn't know who I am, but if she is watching it, I used to go to a little school in a South Yorkshire village, and I just want to say to her, you should have read the stories. I've still got some of the stories I wrote then, and they were really good stories. They were excellent stories, but all you ever noticed was the spelling mistakes and the bad writing. Why didn't you read the content? Why didn't you see what I was actually saying? Because I had a hell of imagination. I could write some brilliant stories. I bet I outwrote most of the kids in that class, but she did not read the stories. She just looked at the words and the spellings. And I hope she's learned to listen to what the kids were saying, because there's no way that little girl like I was back then was stupid and lazy. So, Don't be put down. Just go back and prove them wrong. And take care of yourself. Really. You're not worthless. So anyway, I just want to say thank you very much for checking in, and check the link down below for Georgie's half of the video and see how she dealt with things. She stayed for the video. Yay! So, yeah. I'll be back for the next vlog very soon. I do try to get them up as often as I can. So do comment, like, subscribe. It's good talking to you. Bye-bye.